Good morning, friends, and welcome back to the homestead. So today we are gonna head down into the garden for our very first garden tour of 2022. So come on down to the garden and let me show you what we got growing. All right, friends, so it is a very overcast day. We have had a rainstorm for the last 2 days, and today is the first day that we don't have any rain in the morning, so I'm able to come out and we can get into the garden, do a nice tour, and I can explain what I've got planned going on in the garden. All right, friends, so we are currently in the garden and we are going to start with our tomatoes, but first I want to explain what I kind of have going on as far as my structure for the garden. So what my husband and I did is that we broke it up into sections, and we thought about that after we had planted all the tomatoes and all of the potatoes. So that section is kind of off a little bit, but the rest of the garden is all broken up into sections, so that way I have each thing growing in its own section. I can keep a better eye on it. I won't cross-pollinate as much, and it should all just look really, really nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and go through, show you what each of my sections look like, what I have planned for each of my sections, and then we'll go through and look at what is growing right now in the garden. All right, friends, so I went ahead and made myself a little diagram, and I don't think you're gonna be able to see very much of it, but this is kind of what I have going on. As for what I'm going to plant, or what has already been planted, so as you can see, this right here are my tomatoes and my potatoes. So this section has already been planted. These are all the things that are already in there and growing right now. Then starting directly behind me, I have squash, and I'm gonna do 2 sections of squash. Right behind the squash, I have my peppers. Those are currently in the ground as well. Then next to the peppers, I have my brassicas, and then I have my planted okra, and my plan is to put in some green beans next to the okra, some pole beans, some corn, and then next to my squash, directly next to my squash, I'm gonna have my cucumbers right there. And I haven't decided what I'm gonna put in the 4th section yet, but then I have 2 sections of flowers that are gonna be directly in the middle of my garden. So that way it can bring all the pollinators to the garden and help pollinate everything around by having those 2 sections of nothing but flowers. So let's head on over and check out what I have. All right, friends, so we're gonna start looking at our potatoes first, and I did 2 full rows of potatoes, and almost all of them have popped up. I planted 218 potatoes, and I probably have maybe 6 that didn't pop up. So that's still over 200 potato plants that I have growing in the garden. Let me show you how great they're doing. All right, friends, so starting down this row right here, that is all of my potatoes. They're doing very well. And then across this row right here, starting with this one right here, all the way down to the end is my 2nd row of potatoes. They are all doing very, very well. All right, let's get a close-up look of my potato plants. And these are all Yukon Gold potatoes, friends. I planted all Yukon Golds. But see, this row right here, this is where they haven't popped up. I don't know if they're going to, but you see here is one starting to come up. And here's another one and another one. So they are starting to pop up. These ones might have been a little bit deeper than my other potatoes, but they are all popping up. This side is really tall, but they're all doing very, very well. All right, friends, so the next vegetables that we're gonna talk about are my tomatoes. I have a ton of tomatoes, and I have them all written down so I can tell you exactly which varieties are what. The first full row of tomatoes is 1 plant, or 1 variety of tomato, minus 1, and that is the Sweet 100. I was gifted a whole tray of tomatoes, and they were the little seedling starts, so I went ahead and planted all of them, and they're all doing phenomenal. The other 1 potato that's in that 1 row happens to be a culinary blend, and I just had 1, and I just stuck it there because there was an extra spot. So we'll go down the row and take a look at a few of these Sweet 100 tomatoes, and I can show you how well they are doing. All right, friends, so this is my 1 culinary blend tomato that I have. And then this starts the row of my Sweet 100s. So this one is doing very nice. I went ahead and I cut the bottoms off because they were starting to get too close to the ground. So I went ahead and cut a bunch of these tomatoes down on the bottom just to get rid of all that extra leaves. but you can see down this whole row, all the way to the end, are sweet 100s. And they are starting to put on some flowers. They are all doing very, very well. And I went in and I weeded all this area. There are still a few weeds that I need to come in and get, but for the most part, I got rid of a lot of the weeds in here so they wouldn't choke up my tomato plants. All right, friends, so now we are on my second row of tomatoes, and half of this row is also the sweet 100. In total, I have 145 sweet 100 tomato plants, and all of them are doing fine. All right, friends, so the next tomato on my list is my salsa tomato. These are also doing very good. They've got lots of flowers starting on them. They're growing nicely, nice and healthy. The stems are nice and thick. Out of the salsa tomatoes, I have 8 of these plants, and all 8 of them are doing very, very nice. I plan on making and canning a lot of salsa this year. Okay, so the next one I have is this. This is a big boy tomato. This is the one that I got from my extension office, and I've got 4 of these. And they also have some flowers starting on them. They're nice and tall. They're looking really good. So these 4 right here are all my big boy tomatoes. All right, friends, so these are now all of the tomatoes that I planted here. I started them all from seed, starting off with our big rainbow. I've got 7 of these that I started myself from seed, and they're doing really, really well. I'm really excited for these, friends. These ones have also started to flower. You can see some of the flowers that are right here. So far, no bug damage. I come out here every day and look at them, make sure there's no bugs on them. I do plan on getting a black light, so at night I can come out when the caterpillars start coming out. Next on my list is this beautiful beefsteak tomato, also flowers. And this is another one that I planted from seed. And in total, I have 5 of these beefsteak tomatoes. Next, I have Brandywine pink tomato plants. I have 5 of these, and these are also ones that I planted from seed. And friends, guess what? I believe I found 2 Cherokee purples in here. So somehow I mislabeled, but you can see these leaves on here, how they look. And this one is the same. This one is also the same. This one I have labeled as a Brandywine pink, but those are not the same leaves. I am pretty sure this one is a Cherokee purple. It looks like my other Cherokee purple that I have up by the house. This is another pink, Brandywine pink. And then I have this one labeled as a Brandywine pink, but that looks just like the other one, which I believe is a Cherokee purple. So if that is, I've got 2 in the garden I'm excited for. All right, friends, so that is all of my tomato plants. In total, I have 204 planted here in the big garden of tomato plants. That's a lot of tomato plants. So over 200 potatoes, over 200 tomatoes. Now we're gonna head into our squash and zucchini and talk about what we have growing over here. All right, friends, so for squash and zucchini, I am choosing to do 2 sections for squash and zucchini. Those are big plants. They get really big, so they need a lot of room to like move around and spread out. So I have them spread out pretty far apart. So I'm gonna go ahead and sow some more seeds in the second section. Right now I only have the first section sown with seeds, and this was a way I can also succession sow. These will probably, the first row will be going out, and I'll still have the second group that are still producing for me. So why this is so overgrown is because my seeds have barely started popping out, and I couldn't see them at first. So I didn't want to go through here and accidentally take out one of my sown squash and zucchini plants. So this is pretty overgrown right now, but I can now see my plants coming through, so I can go through here and now weed out all of this weed, because it's pretty bad, friends. Like, if you don't know what you're looking for, you will mess up and you will actually take out one of your plants if you don't know what you're looking for. So let me show you how bad this looks, but let me show you where my seeds are too. All right, friends, this is my jungle of squash plants. Look at how bad that looks. But my seeds hadn't popped up yet, so I couldn't weed this out when I was doing the rest of the garden bed. I didn't want to accidentally lose one of my seeds. Over here, these are more squash plants that I had started and went ahead and transplanted them, and I knew where they were because they were already established. So I can go through and weed those out. But this monster, if you don't know what you're looking for, you can easily take out one of your squash plants. So let's go through here and see if we can find where I planted our squash plants. This row, I know I planted some seeds in this row, so let's look through those. There it is. So this is a squash plant. Looks very similar to this one. This one has 2 leaves and a little one in the middle. That's how I know that's a squash plant. This is a weed. That you can pull out. So I'm gonna have to come through here, find all of them, put little stakes or flags next to them, and then go through and weed all of this jungle out so I don't smother all of my squash plants. So yeah, that is gonna be my next chore, is to find all of my squash plants that are coming up. Because here on this side, I know I have more. I almost thought that was one, but that's not. I just gotta find them, friends. But this is my jungle of zucchini and squash plants right now. It will look nicer once I can find and then clear out all of these weeds. So directly behind it, this is where I'm planning on putting my second row of squash and zucchini. I have a stake over here that you probably can't see, and a stake over here, and that is my perimeter. So I know that this will be another section of squash and zucchini. So here's one of my crooked neck squashes that are doing really good. And I have a little fruit started. And then right next to it is my second crooked neck squash. It's got some flowers and it looks like it's gonna have some fruit coming out as well. But these ones are doing very nicely. And then these ones all right here are volunteers. They were over in my compost bin that I had. They were popping up around that, so I went ahead and transplanted them over here. I don't know what these will be, if these will be squash or if they will be a zucchini. We will have to wait and see. I don't think they're pumpkins, but it's very possible it could be a pumpkin too, because I did give my pigs lots of pumpkins and I put all of their compost manure in the compost bin. Alright friends, so my next section, and this is section number 2, is going to be my peppers. That is both bell peppers and hot peppers. The bell peppers I have closest to the fence. Those are my sweet bell peppers, and then up here in the front I have all of my hot peppers, and that consists of hot banana peppers and also jalapenos and some cayenne peppers. So those are gonna be right here, and I'll show you a few of those. All right friends, so in this row I have my jalapenos, and I have them going at angles. This way, if I need to come through with a trellis and stake them up so they stay going up straight, I can do that. I can put it right between the rows and I can stake them up. These are all them. Look at, I got some beneficial insects going in here. My little Miss Ladybug. But these are all doing good. These are banana peppers that I have here, and some more jalapenos down at the end. Then going into my second row, I've got, this is actually a sweet banana pepper, and then I have my long red cayenne. I'm gonna be making my own cayenne pepper, friends. So these are long red cayennes, more banana peppers, and look at this. I've got a little bit of banana pepper chili going right there and right there. And these are looking very nice. They are enjoying being out here in the ground with the heat. So these are all my hot ones. I had a couple sweet banana peppers in there, but for the majority of the part, this is all hot peppers that I have here. Now let's go over to my bell peppers. This is one of them. It's a red bell pepper, lunchbox red. So these are gonna be on the smaller side, but they look really good. And then I've got some sweet green bell peppers. I did plant a couple poblanos, but that one didn't do so well. This one is surviving, so we'll see what happens. That's a poblano. And this one is also a poblano. But that, my friends, is my pepper garden. I should be getting a lot of good fruit in here. All right, friends, so my next section is gonna be my brassicas. And this section is not gonna be here all summer, so eventually I will pull these out and I will put something else in its place. But here I have cabbage, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and I also put in a couple eggplants over here too. So let me show you how good at least one of my broccolis are doing. Alright, so here is one of my broccolis. Friends, I've never grown broccoli before, so I'm actually pretty happy to see that. And I will keep watching it, and as it grows, make sure it doesn't bolt, and I will get it before it bolts. These are all broccolis, and then I have cabbages over here. But I don't see anything going in my cabbages or my other broccolis, so I don't know. Maybe these won't do anything, I'm not sure. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Again, this is my first time doing broccoli and cabbage. If I need to let them go a little bit longer, or if this means that nothing's gonna happen. And what can I do with the leaves? Can I eat these? If you tried it, let me know, give me a recipe. I wanna utilize it. But this is my cabbage. Nothing, I mean, got something maybe starting in there. Not too sure. Let me know in the comments, friends. All right, so this one is a Brussels sprout. And so is that one, and that one, this one, and this one. So I've got 6 Brussels sprouts all together. And I need to come in here and weed all this out. And then I've got 3 more cabbages on the end. Never grown Brussels sprouts either. So let me know if any of you are Brussels sprout experts. And tell me what you think. Is there something I need to be doing, or is this normal? All right, friends, so next on my list is my okra. I grew okra back in California, and these particular seeds that I planted are from 2018. I did this as an experiment to see if they would grow. I did buy an extra bag of okra seeds just in case. These didn't do any good, but surprisingly, they all germinated. So I'm gonna actually add on to my okra. I only did a few just to see if they would germinate. They have, so I'm gonna actually increase my bed size. I only did half the bed, so now I'm gonna complete the rest of the bed, but let me show you my little okras. All right, friends, so this is another bed that I didn't weed out that much because I couldn't see where my okras were gonna be popping up, but there's an okra right here, as well as some more right here. So they are coming up, friends. My okras are coming up. My 18-year-old seeds are still good. Now this side, I know I planted them on this side, but they haven't come up on this side. So I don't know if this side was just, the ground was really, really hard right here and they're having a difficult time coming up. So I'm gonna wait and see. If I don't see any more popping up in here, I'll re-sow some more seeds over here. But I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of okras and they are all popping up. So I'm gonna go ahead and do some more. As well as now that I can see them, I can go ahead and weed in here. See, this one's missing from in here. I don't see another one. So I'm gonna have to replant in here. But here's the other one that I planted and another one. And I planted them 3, so I will go through and take off 2 of these. All right, friends, so my last bed that I have something sown into is my cucumbers. So I went ahead and I started these cucumbers inside and germinated them and then brought them outside. This bed is only half full because I wanted to succession plant also in this area. So I'm gonna go ahead and direct sow the rest of the bed with seeds, and that way when these ones are done, I'll have those ones over there producing. So let me show you how good my cucumbers are looking. And also I did separate them out the same way I did my okra and all my other plants, so that way I can put a trellis in between and they can start crawling up versus being all over the floor. So that way they'll have good, nice growth and they will stay with some really good airflow in between them. But I need to get my trellis in here like yesterday. So that's the next thing on my list, is to get my husband, my father-in-law in here to help me put up a couple trellises in these areas that I know for sure need to be trellised up. All right, friends, so here are my cucumbers and I have them staggered like I said, so that way I can put a trellis in the middle of this. But I've got 3 rows right now. I've currently got 3 rows of cucumbers and all of them are doing very nicely. And then I've got this row right here and that row behind, all our cucumbers. And then over here, this is where I'm gonna go ahead and start direct sowing some cucumbers, is in this row, and that 3rd row. So I have 3 more rows to do with cucumber sowing. I should have a lot of cucumbers. I do like to make juice and I use cucumbers in my juicing, so I'm excited for these. All right, friends, so that is it of what I have grown in my big garden so far. My plants are directly behind me. I have 2 beds that are ready to go. I am gonna start direct sowing my green beans in this row. But I want to put the trellis up first before I put that in there, because we're going to be moving those around and I don't want to ruin any of my plants as they come up. So first things first is I need to get that trellis up. We're going to do 2 rows of the green beans and that will just be for our family. I don't think I'll be taking those to the farmer's market because I've noticed a lot of people take green beans to the farmer's market and they don't really sell that much. So I'm just going to focus on tomatoes and other things to take to the farmer's market. Green beans, we like to eat fresh. I will can some, but we really do like the fresh green beans best. So these 2 rows are just going to be for our family, and I think that should be plenty to have 2 complete sections of green beans for us. Then right in the middle, I have the 2 sections that I'm going to go ahead and put flowers so I can bring my pollinators in. I have a bunch of flowers that I already started. I just need to bring them out here and get them planted, and then I'll throw a bunch of more seeds out here. Not going to do any pattern with them. I'm just going to throw them out and let them do their thing. And then directly behind that, I have 4 sections that are going to be completely open. And in those sections, I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and put my cantaloupes, my watermelons, pumpkins, things that like to sprawl out and take over. I want those away from my main garden so they don't overtake it. So we're gonna put it way over there where they can do their thing and grow as big as they want and have a bunch of fruit over on that side. So that's it for my big garden, but I want to take you guys over to my small garden and show you what's going on over there. All right, friends, so we are in my small garden, and over here right behind me I have my garlic. They are doing so good. They are really producing well. They're not ready yet to harvest, but they are doing very, very good. I have 3 different sections of garlic, and I did a little bit of an experiment to see what way to mulch them is best. By far, using leaves is the best way. I used straw. They didn't do so good. I used nothing, and those really didn't do so good. But the section that I put the leaves on, they are very, very, very lush and dark green, and they are doing very nicely. Let me show you what they look like. All right, friends, so these are all of my garlics that I had mulched with leaves up until this section right here. So they are all looking really, really well. Nice and thick. Very little weeds are in here. Now this section I didn't put anything on, and you can see these are a lot smaller. There are more weeds in here. I went through here and weeded this out a little bit, but these are the unweeded, or with tons of weeds, and how they look. No mulch put down whatsoever. Then onto this section I did straw, and this side is better than the side that has nothing, but still not quite as good as the side that has the leaves. And you can see tons of weeds have come up through here. So I'm really liking the idea of doing the leaves. We do have a lot of trees. That just means I have to go looking for the leaves, which isn't such a bad thing. I just need to start early. But other than that, they are still looking really good. These are a little bit smaller, and that is the end of my garlic. All that is garlic all through here, all the way to the end. Now these are my onions, and these onions I went ahead and put in bulbs back in November, and they are doing so well, and they are starting to have scapes. So I need to come through and take these scapes off, and I will put them into something yummy. My husband and I took one of these just to kind of look and see how big the bulbs were, and as you can see, they're not quite that big yet, so we're just gonna let this stay a little bit longer and grow some more. I've never grown onions. I've done garlic before, but I've never done onions. So friends, if you are experts in onions, drop it down in the comments. Let me know what I need to do. Do I need to come through and move the dirt away so that they have more room to grow? I've been kind of looking up different things, but you know, let me know what is best that I need to do for my onions. And if you have any recipes for scapes, onion scapes, let me know. I love to cook, like to try new things. So now this bed, these are all the onions that I got from my extension office, and these ones are all doing pretty well. It's looking like something might be coming through and eating some of them, but for the most part they look like they're doing pretty good. See, I've got small ones, but like this whole row is gone. Like I don't know what happened to that whole row, so something might be coming in and eating them. But then I've got these ones that are doing fine. So I don't know. We'll see. I need to come in here and weed as well. This isn't as bad though. Then also on the end, I've got my beets, and I was really worried that these weren't gonna come up, but they are. I love beets, and they are starting to come up, but it's going to be hard to tell my beet from the weeds. And I tried to keep them in a row, but it rained right after I planted these, and I'm pretty sure that they all moved all over the place because they're in the walkways as well now. But in all, I'm pretty happy with how my small garden is going. All right, friends, so now we are directly in front of our strawberry bed. We're gonna go ahead and walk through and see how good our strawberries are doing. These we went ahead and direct sowed maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, and these were crowns. These were strawberry crowns that we went ahead and put into the ground. So let me show you how they're all doing. All right, friends, so I have 2 rows of strawberries. I've got 1 row going all the way down to the end, and then I've got this second row right here, and that one is also going all the way down to the end, and they are all doing very, very well. I've got little strawberries wanting to start. They are flowering, which is really good, and they are going to get tons of rain and tons of sunshine where they are planted, but they are doing so well. There's only a couple that didn't do good, and those ones are right here, but we will let them go and see if maybe they come back. But out of all of them, that's over 100 strawberry plants, only 2 are not doing good. And then in front of my strawberries, but in between my onions and garlic, I have planted, got sunflowers in here. These are all sunflowers. And then in between the sunflowers, I've got zinnias. So this will be a really pretty area once these flowers bloom, and I've got them all along in betweens. All right, and so the last thing that I'm gonna show you in my small garden is going to be our asparagus and how they are doing. All of our asparagus have popped up officially. I was worried at first, only a few were popping up, but now we have noticed that all of them have popped up. And that's 25 asparagus that we have planted. Here are our asparagus. They are all ferned right now, which is good. We want to let them go and fern the first year, and that's just letting them go to seed. They have flowers on there, and we're just gonna let these go. But all of them have popped up, and they're nice and tall. And in between all of my asparagus, I have some more volunteers. I never planted anything over here last year, so I don't know what these are. The previous owner said she used this side of this small garden for her pumpkins, her watermelons, and all those other big vining vegetables and fruits. So I am almost 100% sure that these are probably gonna be either pumpkin or watermelon, and I'm just gonna let them go. They're not gonna hurt anything over here. They're gonna vine out, do their thing. They're not gonna be able to reach my strawberries way over there. I was actually considering putting a bunch of pumpkins and stuff in this area anyhow, so I'm just gonna let these go and do their thing, and we will see what we get from our volunteers. All right, friends, thanks for stopping by the homestead today as we walked through our very first garden tour of 2022. I hope you enjoyed this. This is the beginning stages of my 2 gardens that I have going. I plan on bringing you guys along every week with a garden tour of showing you the progress of how everything is growing in the garden. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends and family. As always, I hope all is well and have a blessed day. Friends, I wish you could smell this. I've got wild honeysuckle just going crazy right here behind me, and it smells so sweet. Walking through the garden today, nice smell that it had to it. And it's all because of these wild honeysuckles that I have growing all over the mountain.